and gentlemen, our main topic today in Cairo local time. Well, Egypt plans to be the main source of hydrogen for Europe by the year 2030. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have with us our dear guest, Dr. Hesham Adel Nasr, energy and sustainability expert. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Well, sir, now Egypt plans to become a regional center for green hydrogen and plans to export about 10 million tons of renewable energy to Europe. So could you give us an idea about this?
Yes, Egypt has been planning to be a regional energy hub and hydrogen hub since like 5 or 6 years ago, and they have been doing like facilitations for investors and international energy companies to come and invest in Egypt in mega projects related to renewable energy and hydrogen projects. And that was even announced during COP27 last November, about like almost 28 MOUs signed with international bodies and even countries companies supported by their countries to invest in Egypt and do mega projects because of the good location of Egypt and the environment that supports investors to do these projects. And they already some of these companies have already started even installing their projects like related to wind farms, solar farms, and also hydrogen and ammonia projects, because like Egypt has the Suez Canal, and also because of the being near to Europe, that will be even a major advantage for Egypt to export hydrogen and ammonia products to Europe through the Suez Canal and also the Mediterranean Sea in the future.
Yes, yes. So, Dr. Nasr, let's talk on the ground. You told me that you attended the COP27 climate change conference that took place in November in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, and you met with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and you expressed to me how keen was the president to understand all the initiatives launched by youth like you. So tell me please about this experience.
Yes, exactly. Like I was attending most of the events happening and sessions happening related to the climate change and even renewable energy projects happened during the COP. One of these sessions was like moderated and held by the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and also like for one of the projects there was also the Prime Minister of Norway, because there are major projects happening related to green hydrogen and green ammonia happening in Ain al-Sokhna related to these projects. And the president was really keen on putting all the facilitation and telling the investors that if you face any kind of difficulty or challenge, just tell me, like, and everything will be cleared, because like he just wants to gain trust and reliability from investors to come and invest in Egypt during the crisis now, because like not many companies are investing in renewable energy at the moment, because like they are like most of the funds are going through the pandemic and solving many issues, especially in Europe. So like giving this kind of phases or phrases to the investor, he will be like really keen on investing in even more projects. And like after the meeting with the president, even this investor was keen on having a wind project, like a 5 gigawatt wind project that was even signed during the COP. So like that's what attracts really the investors to come to Egypt, like when the government officials just putting the trust in the investor and just telling them, whenever you face a problem, just come to me and like just don't worry about anything. And also all the efforts done by the ministries just to have a one-stop shop, especially in the Ain al-Sokhna and Suez Canal area, just to go there and ask them, okay, I need to invest in a renewable energy project. What are the documentation needed and what is the permits needed? That will really facilitate all the projects, renewable energy projects coming to Egypt.
Yes. So, Doctor, what is the clean energy and what is its role in reducing the carbon emissions?
Basically, clean energy is an energy comes from a green source or a clean source. A clean source means that if it comes from wind or solar, it will not cause any direct emissions into the atmosphere. Because like if you burn fossil fuels or natural gas, as most of the countries are using at the moment, it produces a lot of emissions, like greenhouse gases emissions into the atmosphere, which causes a lot of problems, water scarcity, and all of the climate change problems. Like you have seen many problems happening, for example, in Pakistan, all the rains and floods happening, and it causes major damages, which was estimated in $1 billion to them. So clean energy is like an energy source that is coming from a source that will not cause any emissions to the atmosphere. Its role, it will be like major role in the energy transition and climate change, just to reduce all the emissions globally, and to have less damages in countries that will face many problems in the coming future, especially like if the heat of the continent or the atmosphere will be above 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Yes. So, Doctor, and also, how would Egypt be able to make a clean industry or a green industry when we see the smoke coming out of the factories? How could we be able to do this, to do the clean industry? Does it need a high budget for these factories to work with a clean hydrogen?
Mostly, yeah, it will need high budget for sure, but this comes along with some incentives that can be given by the environment. Also, like the EU and many international countries will be giving some incentives and grants for companies that will go green in the future, especially in the African continent. Also, the government can put some facilitation, reduction in taxes, some guidance, less hassle while doing the permits. This will help really the factories and companies to go green, because the technology is already there, everything is mature enough to be implemented. But what comes next is the logistical part and the governmental part in terms of issuing permits and reducing taxes and giving incentives to these investors. Like many companies and many factories will just implement these technologies to reduce their emissions, and they will go green. In like maybe first it will be not fully green, but in stages they can have like zero emissions in the future.
Yes, yes. So, Doctor, the green hydrogen has many advantages. How could it contribute to preserving the environment?
Okay, so green hydrogen, like it's called green because it's coming from a renewable source, a green source, which is wind, solar, hydro, whatsoever can be called green. And then the result will be the hydrogen, which is a gas, and then we call it a green hydrogen. Coming from a green or a renewable source, that will reduce the emissions tremendously because you have the hydrogen from a green source. And then you can use this green hydrogen in many applications. You can use it as a fuel, you can use it in a chemical industry as a product. You can also transform it to ammonia, green ammonia. And this green ammonia can be used also in many applications. The most prominent applications that can be used widely is the fertilizers, and given that Egypt is one of the top 6 exporters for fertilizers globally, this will really help us like in the future to export a lot of fertilizers to our neighbor countries and to EU. And also this product will be even a premium product, because EU in the future will have like a label for green products, and this green product will have a higher price. So exporting green fertilizers or green hydrogen to Europe, this will really help us economically and environmentally in the future.
Yes. Dr. Nasr, why is Egypt a candidate to be the home for green hydrogen production?
Yes, that's a good question. Actually, like Egypt, because of giving the good location that we are in the middle of the world mostly. Like we have Red Sea, we have the Mediterranean Sea. So the shipping part will be really easy through the Suez Canal zone, like to transport and export green hydrogen and green ammonia. Given also the location and having a good solar and wind resources, this will also, because like we need a green source of electricity to have the green hydrogen. So giving like to have a good location, so we'll have a good yields to have solar and wind energy in Egypt. Given also the facilitation and the incentives that can be implemented in the future for this kind of projects, these all facts will help Egypt to be a regional green hydrogen hub in the future.
Yes, yes. So, Dr. Nasr, what does Egypt benefit from being the center for producing the green hydrogen and its effect on the economy and the scientific level?
Okay, like giving like the economy, because like if we have all these 28 projects or what, like even more in the future, this will help us like in like letting people work in these projects and benefit from the international companies' experience, and even like salaries is good, and everything will be implemented by Egyptian labor. So this will be one aspect to reduce the unemployment rate in the country. Also, given that the end product will be a premium green product that can be exported to Europe, and given that also Egypt is will partner with all this with all these projects through the sovereign fund of Egypt. So this will even benefit the country to get like a hard currency, either in dollars or in euros. Also, like environmentally, yes, reducing the emissions of the country, to reduce our emissions and replace some of the old factories and old generation units that was using fossil fuels to use renewable energy. That will be really helpful in that aspect.
Yes, yes. Dr. Nasr, Egypt has various sources of renewable energy. So in your opinion, what are the most important of these sources?
Like mostly we have really good locations for solar energy and also for wind, given that we have one of the biggest solar farm in the world, which is Binban solar project, which is almost 1.7 gigawatt. That can be also upgraded in the future. So that given like that was like a trust in the investor to invest because of the good location to have a solar farms in Egypt. Also the wind, we have very good locations along the Red Sea in Za'farana, and these like offshore areas also in the Red Sea. And also we have like some areas in the south near Aswan and Sohag. We have very good locations and also very good infrastructure there to accommodate these wind and solar projects.
Yes, and could you give us an example of what are the most productive renewable energy sources and at a moderate cost?
Solar will be, for example, the solution for that. Like it has a less price and also it gives a good efficiency. But if we want to have higher efficiencies and higher yields, it will be wind farms. But wind comes with a higher cost for sure because of the foundations, the turbines, and the infrastructure. And also offshore wind will give higher yields, but also this will be the highest cost in terms of capex and opex in the future.
Yes. Dr. Nasr, since you have attended the COP27 climate change conference that took place in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh last November, organized by Egypt under the auspices of the UN. So how do you evaluate the outcome or the recommendations of the COP27? Did it succeed in forcing the state parties to pay the necessary funding to countries, especially to needy countries, especially the African countries?
Yes, I mean Egypt was really good in hosting the COP and the organization and logistics, and even the delegation from our side, and also doing all the negotiation with other parties from other countries. The main focus from the COP was implementation and adaptation for many aspects, and we succeeded to launch for the first time the loss and damage funding scheme in the last COP, and it will be continued even in COP28 in coming one. Like we succeeded not in forcing, but to gather some attraction from developed countries to put some money to help the less and like the loss and damage countries, especially in African continent. Many countries showed their interest, like Belgium, Germany, USA, and Canada, to put some funds for this initiative. And this will be seen even in the coming COP, because it was like last one, it wasn't a binding one, but hopefully the coming one will be a binding, and we'll see many countries that are willing to support and putting some funds, because like I mean developed countries was aiming like, and they even said like a promise before to put like $100 billion to support these countries, but it never happened. But hopefully it will happen in the coming one, and see some countries that will put some money in that fund.
Yes. Doctor, Egypt have come a long way in order to reach to clean energy, and especially to prepare the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh to host the COP27 to become a clean or a green city. So how do you see this, and how did you evaluate it from what you have seen in Sharm el-Sheikh during the conference?
Yes, there was a great transformation actually in Sharm el-Sheikh in terms of the infrastructure and all the used facilities. There were like all the public transportation was electric, even the private ones was electric cars and electric buses to save some emissions. Also, the whole conference area was electrified by solar energy, and it was like in some like 2 or 3 months at that time to build like a solar farm to electrify the center that was accommodating the conference. Also, all the companies participating either in the green zone area or also in the blue zone area at that
Yes.
time was also giving some sessions about how Egypt planned to become a green country in the future, and also to allocate some green cities and smart cities in the future, how the new capital should be green and smart. So there were a great work also from our side, and also a great support from other countries, showing how Egypt was good in organizing that, how Egypt was a good model representing the African countries in terms of leading them and having the loss and damage fund in the future, and also to help like Egypt can be the focal point to get this fund and help other countries to go greener, and to even at least help them with any climate change damage that happens to them in the coming future.
Yes, yes. Doctor, what do we need in order to make the transition to a clean energy and to adopt the clean energy and to be a lifestyle, our lifestyle, like what we saw in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh?
Yes.
And I mean, what do we need to transfer to this this transition, and how long would it take, and the budget that it could take to transfer other governorates here in Egypt?
Yes, for sure. Like we need a continuation work after the COP, and there should be a committee from different ministries that should be following the recommendation on what happened during the COP to be implemented in most of the cities in Egypt. We need awareness from the governmental level and also the private sector to spread awareness about, to the people about how good to be having a sustainable products and sustainable projects. Also, how good to be to have a sustainable lifestyle and clean lifestyle. How this will impact your personal lifestyle and also the country lifestyle. How this should be beneficial in the future. There should be also programs for school students, for university students, because not many people are aware about the benefits of going green and having a zero emission environment in the future.
Yes, yes. So what is the role of the energy sector in reducing the effect of the climate change?
Actually, the energy sector causes around 70% of the total emissions globally. So the focus on energy should be the major rule in reducing the emissions. There are other sectors, but energy is the main focal point, because we are using energy daily in our lives in terms of electricity, power, or heating. So energy is one of the main roles that we should be focusing on. So changing the old power generation units and substations using fossil fuels like coal and natural gas with the new ones using renewable energy, that will cause a lot of reduction in the emissions in the future.
Yes, yes. So during the COP27, the funding the effect of climate change for some countries, the eyes were turned to Africa, but Africa is the least responsible for the effect of the climate change. So explain this to us, please.
Yes. For sure, Africa is the least
responsible for,
yes, but they are the most or the highest damaged in terms of the climate change.
Yes.
In the coming future, we'll see even in the previous COP, the COP26, they were also announcing some major cities that will be going under the sea. For example,
drowned.
Drowned. Yeah. For example, Alexandria, maybe one of them, and also in some other cities along the coast of the Africa. Also, other countries like neighboring Egypt, they will face a lot of floods and face a lot of problems. So will be the most damages. So we need to really focus on African countries in the future.
Yes. What are the most countries in the world that would be affected by the climate change in the coming future?
Mostly coastal countries
Yes.
like Egypt, Libya, and also from the Mediterranean, maybe Greece and Italy. So coastal, because the sea levels will be rising, so some cities will be drowned for sure. So maybe
So
coastal
the cities
countries.
that falls on the or lies on the Mediterranean Sea, and also cities that lies on the ocean.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. Because
Yes.
the sea levels will be rising in the future.
Yes. I thank you very much for your time and thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Hesham Adel Nasr, Energy and Sustainability Expert. Thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, sir. Well, with this, my dear viewers, we come to the end of this episode of our program, Cairo Local Time. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.